everyone, my name's Andy and this is what we're going to be looking at today. It looks quite complicated but it's not, it's actually fairly simple. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. Looks complicated but it's not. It's fun to do as well. So let's get into it. First thing I'll do is I'll show you the textures that I used. World cloud map, found a black and white image. I don't want one that's got the earth in the background, just wanted plain black and white showing the clouds. Excuse me. So I downloaded that, and the world map, I wanted a black and white, this sort of shape. I don't want a flat one because that won't go onto the sphere properly. And in fact I found one that has a transparency built into it, which will save a couple of minutes. That's great. So I downloaded that one as well. And then went into GIMP with the clouds image. Using layer transparency, I added an alpha channel, and then using colour to alpha, I removed the black and changed that into a transparency, which I then saved. Again, nice and simple. So here we are in Blender, default cube. We don't need that. Just pressed X and delete. So Shift A to add a mesh UV sphere. We'll have smooth shading. Excuse me again. Wow. Now you can either Shift A to add another UV sphere, or you can Shift D to duplicate, click it to set it. And all we're going to do is to press S to scale and scale it up a little bit. And if we go into wireframe by pressing Z or Z, you can just check to make sure it's not massively bigger than it was before. Let's press S just to scale it down slightly. And that's all the modelling that we need. Believe it or not, that is it. Just going to go into camera view by pressing 0. Now, we've got the box showing where the camera is. This took me ages to work this out. Sometimes that box would be like that, or it'd be small like this, and I couldn't work out how to change the size of this box. I discovered by accident that it's all down to the lock camera to view. When that's clicked, you're changing the view on the camera. As you can see like that, you can't really use that. Remove that, and you can change the size of it, which makes a lot of difference. It's silly, and people are going to go, well, yeah, that's obvious. Well, some it is, some of us it wasn't. So anyway, that's just a quick thing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate the screen by clicking and dragging over here. I'm going to remove the bars either side by pressing N and T. N and T brings them back. N and T. And here we're going to go into the node editor. I'm going to split this screen and go into the UV image editor. Now if I go into edit mode by pressing tab, that's the larger one, and over here we'll just double click and rename that, I don't know, clouds, and the other sphere, double click on that and we'll rename that the earth, just so we know where we are. So let's go into the clouds, tab to go into edit mode, Alt and left click to choose one edge loop, Control and E and mark a seam. One thing I will say to you actually is, in my user preferences under input, I've swapped over the mouse buttons because it didn't work for me having them the way that Blender normally has them, so I flip them over. So if I say left click and you haven't changed them over, that's obviously a right click, and vice versa. I've flipped mine over. I've also, while we're here, got the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, and you'll also see in a minute I've also got what it's called now, PBR materials. I couldn't think of what it was called. PBR materials enabled. That's a download from 3D Wolf. If you know how to do that, you go down there, download the file, click install from file, go to where you've saved it to, install it, don't forget to enable it by clicking on the box to do the arrow, and you'll have PBR materials, which are great, saves a lot of time. That's from 3D Wolf. So there we go, there we've put our seam in, press U to unwrap and sphere projection. So we'll go and get our textures. There it is there. Or was it that one? I can't remember now. Let's do this one. I think it was this one. There we go. You can see it's coming through. And it's, yeah, not too bad. Press S to scale it to make it a bit bigger, a bit smaller. We'll just have a look at that. So we're going to have a new material. So you can click new here. We can go over here onto this button and click new. Now if I press Shift Z or Shift Z, nothing happens because we haven't assigned it to anything. We've got the texture wrapped on there. Now if I click on that, if I press Control T with Node Wrangler, it adds the image texture, the mapping and the coordinates all in one. Saves a couple of minutes. Now I want to get that texture into this box. Excuse me again. So I can either click open and reload it, or if I just click that button there, there it is. And if I go into material mode, you can see it. In fact, I don't think it was that one. Bear with me while I just check quickly. That's better, that's the one I want. So we'll just change that. That's better. Had the wrong one there. Now obviously when we go into rendered view, let's just put some just make it a bit brighter so we can see it. As you can see now, we've got the black and white, so we need to tell Blender which bit's transparent. So in this box, press Shift A to add a shader transparent. And because I've got Node Wrangler enabled, if I press Alt and right click, I can then add a mix shader, nice and simple. And I can then take the alpha from the image and use that as the factor, the mix factor, and we'll get the transparency. I'm just going to quickly go to the earth, to the materials, just quickly add a new texture, just change it blue so that we can see it. That's just a temporary thing, just so we can see what we're doing. Now what I normally do is I always get these round the wrong way, so let's just swap those over, that's better. That's now showing the transparency. The blue is underneath obviously, and what we can do is we can control the transparency by a Shift A to add a converter colour ramp. Very useful thing. Do so much with these colour ramps. I'm going to put the alpha into the factor. And if I Control Shift and click that one, it's then going to be viewing that node, so we can directly see what we're doing. And if I move the black, you can see that it's changing the amount of transparency. And if I change the white, it will add more cloud, or take it away. And if I take the black all the way over there, taking all the clouds away, so it's mostly transparency. If you don't want, put it about there, shall we? See how that looks. Maybe bring the clouds up a bit, get a bit of different texture. Yeah, let's go about there. If I connect that into there, that's now controlling the mix. That in there. And there we go, that's a good starting point. Just get rid of that. And then what we can do, we do add converter math, set it to multiply, I can take the colour into there and take that value into the displacement. That will add a little bit of texture to the clouds. For the earth, obviously we put that in temporarily. So again, with no wrangler, Control Shift T. When it wants to work. There we go. Control T. It's purple, pink, because we haven't got the image loaded. That's one thing that we haven't done. Let's just hide the clouds. We've got the earth. Go into edit mode by pressing tab. We've got to unwrap it. Alt click to get the edge loop. Unwrap sphere projection. Press A to select them all, severe projection. And we need to load in that texture, which is there. And there it is there. We'll just try that as it is. But again, we don't have the transparency, so Blender doesn't know what to do. So Shift A, shader, transparent. Alt right click to join them together, to mix them. And take the alpha as the factor. And swap those over. Always get those around the wrong way. Then the last thing we need to do is tell it which texture. So Shift Z to go into render view. And that should be the transparency. And obviously in the one that I've got, just moving that around just to check. It was gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take PBR materials, metal, I'm going to use gold. Of course that's got rid of everything that we've just done. But if we just very quickly add shader, transparent, Control T, open the map, remove that, we don't need that. Alt right click, join those two together, and the colour as the factor. And swap those two over. And it's decided not to work. Great. Why is that not working? Have I got the right one? Yeah. It's the alpha, not the colour. See when things go wrong. But then if things go wrong, you don't know when things go right, do you? So there we go. Not very good at the moment because we've got no proper lighting on there. Then we can put the clouds back in. You can see it's all shining through. So now we'll just, oh dear, now we'll just sort the lighting out. I'm all for trying to make things simple. I don't know about you, but I like things that are simple. What we'll do as well, we'll just add a quick subdivision surface onto the two spheres. It looks a bit jagged around the edge, so we'll just do that quickly. Okay, let's press 1 to go into front view. Let's move that camera a little bit. We'll change that in a moment. So let's add some lights. We're going to press Shift A, add lamp. I like area lamps. Let's put it right in the middle. Just going to lift it up. Press S to scale. click on the lamp icon and it's got us a white light, and we'll set the strength to 2000 for the time being. We'll Shift D to duplicate, move it using the X, Y and Z or Z, rotate it on the X, and that dotted line shows us where the light's pointing. That'll do for the time being. This one will give it a colour of an orangey colour, leave it at 2000, Shift D again. This time we'll rotate it on the Z, and we'll change that colour to a bluey colour. And we'll do one more, Shift D, move it around here, move it to here, rotate on the Z again, with the Z. So we've got 3 lights, we'll just go into top view, just to make sure, rotate on the Z, that one, rotate on the Z, I'll do for the time being. That one slightly that way, rotate on the Z, and the camera, press G to move it, put it there, rotate on the Z, or the Z, go into camera view, and we can't find it. We're still locked, pressing N to get the menu back, still locked on the camera. Wasn't that typical? You try and find some time when it's all nice and quiet to do a recording, and then somebody phones you, or they're doing the hoovering, or the kids are messing about, and you can't do anything. It's taken me hours to try to get this done. But anyway, that's enough moaning from me. Real life problems, eh? There we go. So let's have a look. Shift Z to go into rendered view. Let's have a look at what we've got. Okay. Let's take the world colour. Take that right down. It's a start. It's a start. Let's take the clouds. We'll rotate on the Z by pressing R and Z or Z. Might be a bit too many clouds on there. We'll sort that out in a second. Also, as well, the gold, you can't really see it. So let's press Shift Z, get into solid view. Let's sort those nodes out. Do the earth quickly. The reason it wasn't showing was that not enough roughness, so it was too shiny. So we'll take that to 0.4. There we go. That's better. Now we can see the earth underneath. And then we'll go to the clouds texture. I think we've got too much. My computer's lagging, so I'm just going to do that. The colour ramp is controlling the transparency. So let's add a bit more transparency, see if that makes a difference. There we go. That's better. Because we've got the bump as well going to the displacement. You can actually see a bit of shape to the clouds, which is nice. And obviously you can play about with this for a while to get it how you want it. I'm just going to leave it like that just for the purposes of this video. But that's a good starting point. Now we'll just change the lighting slightly, just to make sure that that's reasonable. So what we'll do, we've got the 4 lights here, so we'll turn off the lights. That's the top light shining down, a bit too bright I think. Click on the lamp icon there. We'll take that down to, let's say 500, not 5,000, 500. maybe a little bit too strong still. Let's try 250. Okay, we'll go with that for the time being. We'll turn that one off, and we'll turn that one on, which is the orange one, too orangey. I like the colour of it though. Let's just make that slightly lighter. Yeah, we're getting all the textures there, which is nice. We'll leave that one for the time being. Turn that one off. Turn the blue on. Ooh, way too blue. It is for me, it might not be for you. You can do whatever you want. It's your picture, it's your render. You decide, you're in control. You can do whatever you want. In fact, those two together, they're shining both on there, aren't they? Let's just go into front view. Top view, we'll just move this one, rotate it on the Z. And move it just by picking it up and moving it. Pressing R to rotate on the Z. 0 back into camera view, Shift Z to go into rendered view. That's better, we're getting a bit more light over here now, slightly more separated. And then the last one is the red one at the back. Which at the moment is blue. Change that to a reddish colour, that's too much. Take that, again we're getting some nice textures coming through there. Let's just take all of them, see what they look like as a whole. Again, it's a starting point. Might want to increase that slightly because it's the other ones are washing them out. Now we're starting to get the red coming through. The blue one, make a little bit darker again maybe, see what that does. Because obviously it's reflecting in the clouds as well, down there. Adding a bit of texture and a variation. But that's what we'll do. We'll keep it like that, that's a good starting point. Obviously we need to animate it. Again, nice and simple. Just go into front view. Excuse me again. The only thing that's moving is the clouds. So we'll select the clouds. And what we need to do on the timeline, which is down here, make sure we're at 0. And the rotation is there. So we'll just set that to 0, just for the time being. We press I, that will insert a keyframe down here. Now, you need to set the length of the animation. The more frames you have, the more time it's going to render. I set mine to 150. So just change that to 150. And here, that's on frame 1. We'll go to 151, so one more than the length of your animation. And in the rotation on the Z or the Z, we'll change that to 360. We'll press I to insert a keyframe. There it is there. That is the animation done. If we press play, you can see it's moving. But you'll also see that it starts, speeds up, and then slows down, which is not what we want. So what we do is we go into the graph editor, and under key, interpolation mode, go to linear. I'm not going to go into the graph editor. I don't know a huge amount about it at the moment, so I'm not going to go into it. I just know what I know. I go into 3D view, and start animation, and you'll see it's now constant. It's exactly what we want. And going to 151 means that there's a smooth transition from start to finish, and there's no jumping. So now what we need to do is to render it all, which is a thing that takes the time. So we'll go into rendering. I did mine at 40 samples, The first time I did it, I think it was taking 3 or 4 minutes for each frame. That's a long time, a long time. So what I did to speed things up slightly is I took off reflective and refractive caustics, which speeds things up. The bounces I took down to 2, minimum 0. I think I had these at 1. I left the transparency because obviously we've got transparency, and that's what I rendered. Now obviously we need to tell Blender what to do, so because we're not rendering just one file. What it does is when you press the render button, obviously it renders one frame. When you press animation, what it does, it renders that one frame and saves it as a PNG, and it will save it, in our case, 150 PNGs. You then use those 150 PNGs to make a video, movie, film, whatever you want to call it. So we need to start frame at 1, the end frame, obviously the end frame, and rather than pressing render, you press animation. Before you do that, you need to tell it where you want to save the files. So you click on the file browser, tell it where you want to save it. In my case, I wanted it in my videos, and I've just saved it in a file. And what you get eventually is a whole bunch of PNGs. So all of these here, that's all of the renders that I did previously. So when it's done, could take a while. When it's done, we then need to convert that into a movie or video, whatever you want to call it. Again, fairly simple. What it was for me, the video sequence editor. Before we do that, let's just go back to 3D view. Get out of rendered mode. Video sequence editor. There it is there. And what we'll do is add image. Go to where your videos are. Here they are here. Press A for all of them and add image strip. There it is there. Just move it to the start, which is at 0. And if we press play, before we do that, click on that button there. It brings up a preview screen. If you press play, it'll take a while. It's got to take it into its cache, but you can see it's playing them slowly. Once you press through it once, it will play it fine. We'll just stop it there for the time being. I won't go through the whole process of that. Then what we need to do is to re-render it. But rather than a PNG, click on that. Take it onto H.264. That's what I did. Seemed to work for me. So click on that. So we're now telling it, rather than doing a picture, to do a video. H.264. I left everything as it was. Didn't change anything else. And pressed animation. And it rendered the video for me. And that is it. Really simple. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Nice and simple. Hopefully you might have learned something. Yeah, enjoy it. Have a go. See what you can come up with. It'll be great to see what you can do. Thank you very much.